We're going to keep things moving here on Radio Boss, joined by a young lady. For those that are watching, you can see her right there. One of the stars of Real Housewives of Potomac. She's a double Howard University graduate. The album is Deep Space, and it's available now. I think she's on tour. We'll talk more about that. She's got all kinds of business ventures. Candiace Dillard Bassett joins us here on Radio Boss. What's going on, Candiace?
Hello. I'm great. I'm feeling good. Excited to be talking to you and all the people. Hello to the people. Yes.
So you're currently in Maryland, in Upper Marlboro, specifically. So where does all the filming for Housewives of Potomac actually take place? A number of different places, I'm sure, in Washington.
Yes. So for those of you who are familiar with the area, we refer to the area as the DMV, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, right? And so we film all over the DMV. Yes, the show is called The Real Housewives of Potomac, but being in an area like the DMV where the culture is rich and it kind of spreads out amongst the D, the M, and the V, you could find us in Baltimore one day. You could find us in close to I don't know, Virginia Beach another day, Chesapeake one day, Upper Marlboro one day.
Okay.
We're all over. We're all spread out, so we film all over the area.
So wait a minute, you all take it to, because technically, so let me back up. Like I still go back home and all that, but I left Washington in '99. The term DMV wasn't around time I left Washington. But is both, and I asked this question of my audience, especially my DMV people, like a couple of weeks ago, is Baltimore and Virginia Beach really part of the DMV?
So it depends on who you ask.
Okay.
So I know some Baltimoreans who are vehemently against
right.
being a part of the DMV. They're like, we don't claim that. That's not us. But I do know some folks that will say that yes, that will commute from Baltimore into DC for work or vice versa, that will say, yes, I consider this to be part of the DMV. Virginia Beach is probably a bit of a stretch. I have a friend that tried to say that she was from DC, because being from DC has become quite the broad spectrum. People in Montgomery County, in Bethesda, in Tyson's Corner are like, I'm from DC. No, you're not. So yes, I'm gonna make a call and say that Virginia Beach is probably not considered the DMV.
No, it's interesting because that was sort of the deal. I grew up in Silver Spring, but also first 9-10 years of my life, I grew up in Hyattsville. Shout out to Lewisdale. I grew up in the Lewisdale neighborhood, specifically 23rd Avenue. You understand what I mean? But like, that was the whole thing. Like, I never said I was from DC, but I said I'm from Washington, because to me, and I know DMV is the new term, but Washington encompasses the whole area.
Yes. I can get with that. Yes. We'll allow that.
Is that cool?
I'm gonna allow that. Yes. And when I got to DC, I started in DC in 2005 when I attended Howard University. And back then, the term Chocolate City was sort of tapering off.
Yes.
And now we don't really use it at all. But when I first got to DC, my dad, who did his residency in the DC area, used to say that back in the 80s, it was like, yeah, this was the Chocolate City. And I wish I could have experienced that era, because that was a time from what I have seen and heard. Yeah.
DC, I think, was maybe close to 70, well, maybe even close to 80, 75%. Now, not so much. Is it DC in of itself is much different.
Yes. It's, oh my gosh. I was out on U Street over the weekend with friends. And when I was at Howard, we used to stomp around U Street all the time, and it was relatively, safe. But there were areas that you just didn't walk down. There was an area, like an alley between the University Towers, which was the upperclassmen apartments, and where U Street and Florida Avenue kind of met. There's an alley that you did not walk down there. It was just, everybody knew you don't walk down there. Now it's like all these restaurants and dining al fresca, and it's unrecognizable even to me you know? So yes, they call it gentrification. It is
Yes.
taking over.
Yes.
For better or worse.
How about H Street Northeast? Right? This what is like
we did not go. Okay, listen. And if you went with buddies, okay, in the daytime. It was just not it was not where a young woman would walk by herself. I will say that. Now, yes, H Street has become a smorgasbord of dining al fresca, as I said, and just bike riding and all kinds of things that are you just would not have imagined. Rhode Island Avenue, same situation. They always say when you start seeing the white folks walking around, it's the things are changing. So right around the Howard Theater is very nice. It's very nice, and there's lots to do around there now. Yeah, it was not there before.
Yeah, whenever I come back, I gotta hit Ben's Chili Bar. They got one on 8th Street now. The one on U Street.
Yes. Many memories in there. I got a lot of trouble around the old school Ben's Chili Bar. Yes.
Is your photo on the wall? Like I was there. I don't know, maybe 2-3 months ago. We need to get is your photo there? Like we need to get your photo up there. What's up?
To God's ears. I would come in and do the whole ceremony. I'm open to that. Yes. Let's talk to Ben and the people. Yes.
And Miss Virginia she's still on the grill. She's like 80. She's like late 80s. She's still on the grill, Yes.
But working. She's a living legend.
Yeah.
Yes. Definitely a living legend. Yeah.
Candiace Dillard Bassett joins us here on Radio Boss. Don't forget the album is Deep Space. She, of course, is one of the stars of Real Housewives of Potomac. It's so many places we can go. We're on this DC thing. Let me stay there. What do you remember most about those days at Howard? You got your undergrad, and then of course you got your grad. Was it an MBA? Last year?
Yes, last May. Yes. We just had commencement this over the weekend, and President Joe Biden was the commencement speaker, and I said, "Well, what? Where I missed that. I was having nostalgia there. I missed having our president speak at my commencement. But no, for me, one of my earliest memories of living in the DMV was go-go music. I remember my dad telling me, yeah, when you get to DC, you're going to learn a lot of new things. And one of those things that he talked about was go-go. And I'd never heard of go-go music. I never heard it before. So I remember walking down Georgia Avenue to the Metro, to the Shaw Howard Metro, and there was this cell phone store right on the corner, and they used to sit this big speaker out there, and all day long they would be blasting go-go music. And to this day, one of my favorite songs is "Sexy Ladies." We would go to the club, and they would always play that at the end. And then when I was sort of figuring out my musical journey, it was put on my heart, and I knew that I would have to do a go-go song to just pay homage to my time in the DMV and to DC. I always say that DC raised me. I'm Georgia. I'm a Georgia girl. I'm a Southern girl at heart, but DC raised me and made me the smart, scrappy, savvy woman that I am today. Taught me so much about who I am, who I wanted to be. It challenged me. And so for me, go-go music is a part of the fabric of who I became. So when the beginning, the genesis of my music journey started with go-go music, because I wrote a ballad for my husband when we got married. And then I met the late Chucky Thompson, who took an interest in my music. And we created a go-go record off of the ballad, "I See You." We had Big G from Backyard Band get on that. And it was really a time, and it was really a full circle moment for me. And, that music is on my album. It's on Deep Space, and we're on to Deep Space Deluxe now, and getting ready to go on tour with the Deluxe and just keep the party going.
No, that's awesome. I hate to even say this, right? Because, coming up, I used to go to the, not to say this part, but I used to go to Black Hole and see Backyard. And, even when I was at Morgan, Junkyard would be, Junkyard.
Yes.
But now it took me coming down to North Carolina before I ever, this was 2008, before I ever saw Chuck Brown. And the night I saw him, it was during the CIAA tournament, and it was Chuck, Raheem Devon, and Chuck's daughter. And it was like this, and Chuck was, I don't know if you ever had a chance to see Chuck in person, rest in peace, Chuck Brown, the Godfather Go-Go, but it was a phenomenal, I mean, he was just the best.
He's the Godfather of Go-Go. Yes, he's a legend. And I've heard so many stories about him and his influence and the ways that he still affects music and affects the goings on in DC and in the DMV. So, yes.
So you're not on tour for the album, and again, Deep Space Deluxe available now. So go check it out.
Yes.
Are you on tour currently?
So yes and no. So my first tour at the end of last year, we literally did a back-to-back 5 cities. We had the tour bus. My band was on the bus. My dancers were on the bus. My husband was on the, we were all on the bus. My managers, everybody was on the bus. And we bounced around from Philly to Chicago, all the way down to Atlanta, back to DC. So this go round, we are spreading out the cities. So I started with a few Pride shows. I did Boston Pride. I did Philly Pride. I did some Pride shows in Pomona, California. And the venue tour dates start June 10th. We're starting with the Fillmore. You can go to livenation.com right now and get those tickets. They're still available. But it's really exciting for me to be playing to be invited to play the Fillmore because it is such a legendary venue. It's one of the larger venues that I will have played when it's all said and done. And it's a place that I drove by, as a young woman. I saw some shows there. So to be able to go back and headline the beginning of my tour there is really special. And then the other cities, Chicago, Nashville, Atlanta, St. Louis, oh God, I'm missing one. New York are all city winery venues. City Winery has been so amazing and so good to me. So I'm excited to be going back to all of those cities. We added Pittsburgh and St. Louis and Nashville. So those are new cities. The others we're repeating. So I'm happy to be able to go back in and see everybody and blow the house down. No
doubt about it. Candiace Dillard Bassett joins us here on the program again. Deep Space Deluxe is available now. Check it out. So how much are you enjoying the Real Housewives of Potomac?
Well, overall, it's been an incredible journey and an incredible experience because I've been able to launch so much of my career with the show. Starting out as a musician is challenging on its own. So having a platform like Potomac Housewives and like Bravo to support me and help me promote all the things that I'm doing has been incredible. And I'm eternally grateful to the network and to everyone who has supported me and my music and my acting and my family throughout the 7 years now that I've been a part of the show.
And of course, pageantry is in your background. You are a number of misses.
Yes, I was Miss. So Miss United States was the pinnacle, but to become the national title holder, you have to hold a state title. So I was Miss DC, and before that, I held a local title that was Miss Capital City. So yes, it was quite a journey.
So would you get back into that? Isn't there a Mrs. America?
The pageantry. Yes, actually, you are correct. Yes, okay. So there are Mrs. Pageants. I always said, because, once a pageant girl, always a pageant girl, right? So I thought that when I got married that I would immediately want to go into the Mrs. division and compete. But I think I got comfortable, eating donuts and enjoying the carbohydrates of life. I feel like pageantry has done all that it's going to do for me. It has done so much for me and helped prepare me so much for where I am now and what I'm doing now. That it has served me as much as it will. And I'm content to support my pageant friends and sisters. I used to own a pageant consulting firm. I have a hard time working with any clients nowadays, but I'm always supporting my friends. One of my girlfriends owns the Miss District of Columbia USA system. I'm always there to support her and all my pageant sisters. And I think I'm content to sort of sit in that role from now on.
The Mrs. eats donuts and it's all good.
Yes. Listen, when you're preparing for a pageant, and my pageant sisters will tell you, it is no easy feat. It requires a level of discipline that I think few understand. And I take my hat off, and I will always pay respect to the women who have blazed trails in pageantry, because pageantry is a sport. We work hard to bring to you what you see on the stage and off the stage. And it's there. I would just rather rest my feet and eat a Krispy Kreme donut.
No, wait. So where do you get you know what? So there was a Krispy Kreme on DuPont Circle? The nearest one I remember there is that's right. They've grown. Like when I was there, The only one was Alexandria, go way down Route 1. Yes.
Been to that one. Yeah, that one. I know where they all are. Okay, I know where they're located. I was an intern right off of DuPont Circle, and every day, either on the way to work or leaving work, I would stop at that Krispy Kreme in DuPont Circle. So yes, they're definitely spread out. There's one down the street from us here in Upper Marlboro now, and I'll roll right up when the hot sign is on. I'm in line. Yes.
That is awesome. Couple of more thoughts with Candiace Dillard Bassett, gracious enough to join us here on Radio Boss. You talked about Housewives of Potomac and the opportunities it's afforded you. So now Hush? Can you speak about Hush and that and what you're doing with that?
Yes. So I don't know that I can announce anything yet, but there should be an announcement coming soon for Hush. But you can catch season 1 of Hush on All Black TV right now. It was such an amazing experience to shoot. Joyful Drake, Karen Ward Ross, and Erica Mena, myself. T.S. Madison was incredible to work with as well. Lanre Adewu, who plays my husband on the show. It's a far cry, I think, from Candiace. So to play this really savvy, sort of scandalous, kind of scam me woman, Selena, was a lot of fun. And if there is a season 2, I hope to get to see my character expand and see what other trouble she can get into. She got into a lot of trouble in season 1. She actually, the end of season 1, sort of exposed how troublesome Selena is. So I hope we get a season 2 to have her redeem herself. Because she's a trouble.
Yeah. No, very good. I want to talk I was thinking, I don't know if you're a big sports fan, but what a season for the Howard men's basketball team to be able to win the MEAC tournament championship for the first time in 30 years. But not only that, think about this. You lose, you're going up against a Power 5 conference, so you're probably going to lose that game. But think about this. You lose that game, And then coming into the locker room to console you is the vice president of the United States of that. That is crazy.
Insane. Yes. Yeah. No, so I actually cheered at Howard for a year, almost 2 years. And I cheered in high school as well. So to be on the sidelines and to be on the receiving end of not a lot of wins when I was a cheerleader, but to be a part of the alumni association of the cheerleaders and to see kind of live vicariously through them, and for me wishing that I could have been on the sidelines it's still an honor to say that I am a daughter of a university that could produce that kind of success.
And then you think about it, and it's interesting because we've talked to, like in one class at Howard, you had like P. Diddy, Anthony Anderson, Laz Alonso, you had Taraji P. Henson and others, that
Yes.
Chadwick Boseman. And you're now, what did you major in while you were at Howard though?
So I am a proud daughter of the John H. Johnson School of Communications. It's now the Kathy Hughes School of Communications. But when I was there, it was John H. Johnson. Because I'm a communications major. I with a concentration in broadcast news. So I was down the hill. But yes, that was my lot in life, was to be a communications major.
Yes, because even when I was at Morgan, like Howard had the best. There was always a communications seminar like in the fall, and it was the best because every ESPN, all the majors were there, and we used to come down for that. So it was really, really cool. But even with that, so your communications major, which is great, but I mentioned all those people, and even though you didn't major in maybe theater, but you're on TV, like you're on TV, yes. You're in the music industry. What does that mean to, in a way, be associated with some of those names as a Howard University graduate?
It's a complete honor, and it's a very large shoe to fill, a very large set of shoes to fill. Coming in as a freshman, knowing the legacy that is still Howard University, it was a very tall order for me to even attempt to live up to the legacy. And coming out and being a public figure, I still always have in the back of my mind, how am I making my university proud? How am I living up to the standards and the legacy of leadership for America and the global community? And how am I measuring up to those who came before me? That's always in the back of my mind.
And then I did say sports. Have you adopted the Commanders, or are you a big? I know you cheered at Howard. Are you a big sports fan?
I'm not a huge sports fan, okay. No. However, so don't judge me. My father is a Cowboys fan. So for many years, I was a Cowboys fan because that's what my daddy was. But around the time that RG3 came in, and they were the Redskins at that time, were really ramping up speed, and you become a Commanders fan just by sheer proximity to the passion. Because one thing about these Commanders fans, they are passionate, and it rubs off on you. So yes, there is a huge part of me that, for as much as I'm not the biggest sports fan, I try to keep up, and I try to stay abreast of what's happening, just so that I can celebrate with my fellow Washingtonians.
No doubt about it. So check her out, The Real Housewives of Potomac. Again, a double Howard major. Deep Space Deluxe is available now. Check it out. She's getting ready to go on tour. Also, would you give us the website again for ticket information and schedule?
Yes. So the Fillmore, those ticket sales, that's June 10th. That's the first show. You can get those tickets at Live Nation, livenation.com. And then all the other cities will be at citywinery.com.
Absolutely. Candiace Dillard Bassett joining us here on Radio Boss. Candiace, it's a lot of fun. Appreciate the time. Continued success in all you do.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.